Hello and welcome to Palace Intrigue. I am your host, Mark Francis. Today is the day Meghan Markle's mildly anticipated new podcast makes its debut. Pop culture podcaster Zach Peter asked, "What era are we in? Is this 2016? First, she gave us her Pinterest cooking show on Netflix from like 2015, and she jumped a year ahead into this hashtag girl boss era where she's going to launch yet another podcast that's not that different from Archetypes. Listen, I'm not trying to hate on this lady, but it's overexposure at this point and the audience already finds you a bit insufferable." The Express shared the real reason Meghan Markle is launching a new podcast after Spotify's failure, which we just assumed was that Meghan likes money, but apparently we were wrong. PR expert Rhea Freeman tells The Express, "I feel like the new podcast aligns well with the launch of her new brand and also her as a businesswoman in her own right. Although she's clearly been this for many years, when people introduce physical products or services, people see them as business people in a different way." By tapping into her journey and aligning with the female founders who are no doubt well known, Meghan is placing herself in a different position. Tied to this, there continues to be growth in the female founder space when it comes to a visibility point of view. So I think this podcast is a real symbol of where Meghan is now, where she wants to be, and what's going on in the world at the moment. Well, that and the money. We'll be recapping the episodes for you as we know you are very busy and might not have the time to take all of Meghan's podcast in. We're here for you. In a charming gesture that suggests Meghan may have a soft spot for those who speak up on her behalf, the Duchess of Affiliate Marketing has sent a rather tasteful thank you to podcast host Amanda Hirsch. Hirsch, who helms the popular Not Skinny But Not Fat podcast, had recently expressed concern over the online backlash Meghan might face with her recent Netflix venture. Now it seems Meghan is returning kindness with jam, or at least something that may legally be fruit spread. We haven't tasted it, to be sure. "You have to guess what package I just got," Hirsch told her Instagram followers in a video posted April 4th. She held up an envelope bearing distinctive flowing handwriting. "I cannot believe it. Does the handwriting ring a bell?" Indeed it did. The envelope was addressed in Meghan's signature calligraphy, and inside a wooden box tied with a burlap ribbon was a selection of teas, biscuits, crackers, and Meghan's very own, as ever, raspberry jam. Said Hirsch, "This is the next step in our relationship. First a letter, then jam, and/or fruit spread." Jamgate could potentially overshadow the release of today's mildly anticipated new podcast. The Daily Mail did a thorough investigation of the fruity-tasting concoction, which retails for £10.80 and sold out within 30 minutes of its launch. "That's not a spread or a jam or a jelly. It's goopy and runny," complained one user online, and another remarked, "Is the reason Meghan calls it spread because it's so runny?" The answer, it seems, is yes. As ever's raspberry offering is officially a spread, not a jam, a distinction with regulatory teeth. According to the FDA guidelines, jam must contain at least 45% fruit and 55% sugar. Meghan's version, made with raspberries, organic pure cane sugar, organic lemon juice concentrate, and fruit pectin, apparently does not meet the threshold. Someone will need to break the news to podcaster Amanda Hirsch. Rather than shy away from the issue, the Duchess herself addressed the texture directly on the As Ever website, writing that the spread is crafted with a fluid texture so it can be drizzled, spread, poured and enjoyed for so much more than your morning toast. If you missed out on ordering the sold-out fruit spread, the Daily Mail recaps the magical moment when the spread arrives at your door. They write, "On Saturday morning, we unboxed Meghan's seemingly covetable raspberry spread, which arrived in a small box from FedEx. Upon opening, we found a handwritten note from Meghan herself right on top, printed on a thick postcard with her As Ever branding stamped in gold foil. When you flip the card around, there's a message printed in Meghan's signature calligraphy that reads, 'Enjoy, Meghan.' A bit ominous there, Megs." After reading the note, we continued wading through the packaging to find the jam, which was padded in packing peanuts and wrapped in creamy beige paper, before we finally got to the pièce de résistance, because we'd splurged for the keepsake packaging. As the Duchess gave customers no other choice during her initial launch, it meant that the 7.6-ounce jar came in a tan cylinder-shaped package, embossed with the As Ever logo on its front. The over-the-top packaging, which would be hard to reuse due to its jam-shaped hole, reminded us more of a luxury candle than a condiment we'd throw in the fridge after opening. But packaging aside, what really matters here is the taste. We can't help but think as Eva's signature product might be in a bit of a jam. They then go on to review the food itself, which we will sum up as sweet. The spread, that is, not the review. It seems Meghan Markle's Netflix series With Love Meghan hasn't made it onto the radar of singer and daytime talk show host Kelly Clarkson, who was caught entirely off guard when the show was brought up on her own program. During a recent episode of the Kelly Clarkson show, actor Brian Tyree Henry was sharing a charming anecdote about bonding with co-star Elizabeth Olsen over their shared love of With Love Meghan. But Clarkson's response was as candid as it was bewildered. "What is that?" she asked, genuinely puzzled. Henry quickly clarified, "The new Meghan Markle / Meghan Duchess of Sussex show, where she's also like Martha Stewart now." It is unclear if Kelly Clarkson was mildly anticipating today's podcast release. More Palace in just a moment. Ever notice how the villains often steal the show? All this week, 5 Daily Trivia Questions celebrates these scene stealers with a special Villains Week event. Host Mark Ellison will take you on a journey through the fascinating world of antagonists, from the methodical Hannibal Lecter to the magical Maleficent, the calculating Moriarty to the chaotic Joker. Each day brings 5 new questions about the characters that push our heroes to their limits and sometimes make us question which side we're really on. Whether you're a pop culture expert or just appreciate a good antagonist, Villains Week offers something for everyone. It's the perfect blend of entertainment and education that 5 Daily Trivia Questions is known for. Villains Week on 5 Daily Trivia Questions, available wherever you get your podcasts, like this one, because sometimes it's good to be bad. Virginia Giuffre is now coming forward with allegations of domestic abuse against her husband of 22 years, Robert Giuffre. In an exclusive statement to People, the 41-year-old said, "I was able to fight back against Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, who abused and trafficked me, but I was unable to escape the domestic violence in my marriage until recently. After my husband's latest physical assault, I can no longer stay silent." The allegations come days after Giuffre posted a photo of herself in a hospital bed, her face visibly bruised. She originally claimed the injuries stemmed from a car crash on March 24th, in which she said she was struck by a school bus traveling over 49 miles an hour. While the circumstances of her injuries are still being clarified, Virginia's brother, Sky Roberts, and his wife, Amanda, said the severity of the alleged abuse has become impossible for her to ignore. Amanda told People, "I think the last incident that they had, she almost died. She had acknowledged that if she had one more instance with him, she wasn't making it out of there." The alleged assault took place on January 9th in Dunsborough, Western Australia, and included a cracked sternum and perforated eye, according to Virginia's representatives. While she reported the incident to police, Robert Giuffre was not charged. He later filed a family violence restraining order against Virginia, accusing her of violence and triggering legal proceedings of his own. Virginia is now accused of violating that order by sending him a text on February 2nd. A spokesperson for Robert told People they could not comment, citing restrictions due to ongoing legal matters before Australian courts. Sky Roberts suggested the restraining order may have been strategic. He just put his in place first. Now she's on the defence. Graham Cracker, the longtime Royal Protection Officer known affectionately as Crackers, has died. He served as a bodyguard to Prince William and Prince Harry during their childhood and was a constant presence during some of the most difficult moments of their young lives. Cracker is remembered by many for his role in the funeral of Diana, Princess of Wales, in 1997. As her son walked behind the hearse from St. James Palace to Westminster Abbey, he was among those quietly standing watch, ensuring their safety amidst a sea of sorrow. Later that day, Cracker was seen riding in front of the vehicle that carried the princess to her final resting place at Althorpe House. In one especially poignant image, he was captured gently brushing flowers from the windscreen, a small human gesture of care amid the overwhelming grief of thousands who had lined the route to say goodbye. Sadly, Jamgate is overshadowing the King's visit to Italy. A frustrated podcaster tells Palace Intrigue, "Why couldn't Meghan have done her nonsense next week so we wouldn't have to cram everything into one episode?" If there are any lingering doubts about His Majesty's stamina, they are being firmly swept aside with a busy 4-day itinerary showcasing his enduring role as a statesman and diplomat. Palace Aide was clear, this is not a scaled-back visit. His Majesty is continuing in his duties. Today, the king will make history as the first British monarch to address both houses of the Italian Parliament, the Chamber of Deputies and the Senate of the Republic. He will also meet President Sergio Mattarella and Prime Minister Giorgio Meloni, and in the evening he and Queen Camilla will attend a black tie state banquet at the Palazzo Quirinale, hosted by President Mattarella. The banquet coincides with their 20th wedding anniversary. On the other hand, Jamgate gave King Charles some cover from this one. Newly released tribunal documents have revealed that Prince Andrew and his former advisor held 2 private meetings with King Charles at Windsor Castle to discuss future funding options. Meetings which, according to the advisor, were deliberately conducted without being seen. The purpose of the discussions, which took place within a 6-month span, was to explore what Andrew can do moving forwards in a way that is acceptable to His Majesty, according to a written statement by Dominic Hampshire, Andrew's former senior advisor. Central to the controversy is Mr. Yang Tengbo, also known as Chris Yang. Yang was previously described by judges as a close confidant of Prince Andrew, who had won a significant degree, one could say an unusual degree of trust from the Duke of York. Buckingham Palace has firmly denied that Mr. Yang's name ever came up in the private discussions between the king and his brother. A statement issued by the palace read, "While His Majesty met with the Duke and his advisor to hear outline proposals for independent funding over the past year, the individual known as H6 was not mentioned at any time or in any way as part of these discussions." And there you have it. If you'd like to email us, our address is thepalaceintrigue@gmail.com. Please follow us on Spotify, Apple, or the app of your choice, and send us a nice review if you're enjoying the show. 5 stars. I'm Mark Francis. My thanks to John McDermott. This is Palace Intrigue, and good times.